States to ask whatever you want. So here they're speaking to you. Tomorrow, about 20 minutes with each of the candidates to ask questions. And then we'll rotate. You'll get to stay in the same room, and then we'll rotate so you get to see all 4 candidates. All right, and then tomorrow evening we'll have closing speeches, which is 5 minutes, their last word to you for their vision and why they think they should be the next member committee president. And then you guys will go into some LC time where you'll have to deliberate and you'll go through voting. And I'll go over voting tomorrow about like how that works. But that will be tomorrow's deliberation and voting. And then we will move into the counting and announcement. So we have a counting committee that will leave the room. You guys will be stuck in the room while we count all the votes, and then we will announce before the new year, tomorrow night at midnight, we'll have a new committee president. So can I get a all right, so that's the process. Opening speeches, smart talks, live Q&A, closing speeches, we'll go into deliberation and voting, and then we will count and have a new member committee president. So, a couple general rules specifically about opening speeches tonight. So, like I mentioned earlier, there's no entering or exiting the plenary during candidate speeches. No texting or use of computers. If you choose to take a picture, only during the breaks. So when they're not speaking, when they're on stage, no photos, please. We have a professional photographer and live streaming, so don't worry about that. The beautiful faces will be shown. The next one, so be active listeners with a smile on your face. So that they're looking out, fleeing to you, why they think they should be at the United States, and you have these dead faces. And you're tired, and they literally will be so sad, and I don't want that for this friend, okay? So, be active listeners, and with that, transfer the energy you have to them. So something they always get mad at us, and people like this, and the camera can see something you guys are doing right now. Go ahead, open it up, give your energy to them. There you go, thank you, Alex. Thank you. Yeah. So, transfer all your energy, maybe that's a smile, maybe that's a joke if they say something funny in the middle of their speech, whatever it is, please give them all the energy, because it really can shape this experience for them, and it can really have a very positive contribution toward their speech, their whole election process. And then moving into that, be aware of the responsibility you have to pick a leader like the United States. And I actually take this process serious. We have these rules, you can't enter and exit, we have them for a reason. And it's that this is a big decision you guys have as the ones that came to international conference. So take note. And just know like how cool process that you guys get to be in. You're gonna talk to you and ask them. And then when we're not in sessions, like go up and talk to them all that, because this is a huge opportunity you have to take connectivity. And then lastly, enjoy the process. So that was the last word I gave to them, was to have fun with it. I want you guys to have fun with it as well. And there's live stream on, so that's just going to be super happy. It was working about 2 minutes ago. So without that, I have one more rule that I would like Jeff actually to explain, because he's been through the NC process, NCP election process, and I haven't. So Jeff, will you please kind of take care of the tradition and a little story about the next rule that we have? This one's on. Cool. All right, thank you guys.
Alright, before we do that, can we all say hi to our virtual delegates? Hi! Can we turn? Alright. So, the next rule is, can I have a click? Is cheer. Okay, so, alright, I want to give you your best cheer that you can. Go. Let's check. Did it inspire the MCP? It was alright. Alright, let's see if we can do better. 1, 2, 3, go!
We're talking about changing the game at this conference. This is what everyone does every year.
Is he always like this, so demanding?
Yeah.
That's why he's MCP. Alright, so let's change the game of cheering. Let me teach you guys how the real stuff is done. So what I want everyone to do is when the candidates come in, we're going to do a different type of cheering. When they come in and start walking in, we're going to be standing on our chair. So can everyone sit on your chair? When you're sitting down, your stomach is in the air, it's all in there, so you can shout, so no one can hear. And then now, I want you to imagine the happiest thing or the angriest thing that you've ever experienced. Think about it for a moment. Keep it in the energy, and then on the count of 3, we're going to explode that energy out towards the MCP candidates, all right? So, 1, 2, 3. That is not bad. That is not bad. I'm surprised that everyone goes to MCP already. Alright, stand on your chair. Stand on your chair. How's everyone's throat going? Alright. So we're gonna practice the shouting. Actually, no, we'll wait. Because I want to research everyone's throat, because you have to do it how many times? 8 plus times. So we'll do another 2 practice, try run, and then the game is for real. So here is the trick of how we're gonna stop. Alright? So when you guys all the thing is going, ultimately we do have an agenda time. So we don't want you to be cheering like nuts. I mean no, cheer as long as you can. When the candidates go up, continue cheering for them, and then how we're gonna stop all together as a team so that we can go on the process is I will be doing, can you come here and hold my mic? Yeah, that's right. I'm your predecessor. Yes, they call me Uncle Jeff. So, when we're shouting, when we're gonna end, how I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do 3 big claps. 1, 2, 3. Okay? So we're gonna go. Get it? Fine. So we're gonna try it one more time. We're gonna try it one more time. We're gonna shout, and then we're gonna all stop together. Okay? 1, 2, 3. All right, cool. You guys. Sorry, Mike's laugh kind of cracks me up. I thought I had a bad laugh. What? What? Alright, so we're gonna do it, now we're gonna do one last try run, and then it's for real. And how it's gonna happen is Neil is gonna be our MCP candidate. It's gonna pretend to walk from the back all the way to the front, and then come up here. You're gonna continue laughing. When they go up here, you're gonna be like, oh, not laughing. Not laughing at him. I mean cheering. Sorry about that. You're gonna continue cheering, and you're gonna go MCP. Okay? And I will highly suggest the people in the front, because all the candidates will walk through here. Treat them like a celebrity. Touch them. They want to feel touched. Yeah. Okay, so, not me. I'm not a celebrity anymore. But Niels is a celebrity. So, when Niels is going through, you want to touch him. You want to go and give him a high five. At the back there too, all right? So Niels, take over there. All right, just one moment.
Gross.
All right. So I'm gonna say, welcome your MCP candidate, Niels. And then that's when they're gonna open, let them in, the music will go off, and you guys start cheering, okay? Yeah, I made this song. I prepared this song especially for Niels. Okay, so enjoy. All right. Please welcome your MCP candidate, Niels! Alright, so what we need to work on is the music. So, yeah, but then they're gonna be okay. So, we have a candidate almost here. And there's one more trick, and now everyone can stand up, sit down. So. Cool. So quickly, there's one more rule that I need to teach you. It's about timing at the end, in terms of finishing, actually. So every candidate will have 10 minutes. Me and Phil will be sitting up in the front, and then we will be giving them 3 time cards. When they finish in 5 minutes, we'll give them a 5 minutes card, 3 minutes card, and 1 minute card. When they hit 10, and they still did not finish, you will see me, Phil, and Niels up here. Then we will suddenly stand up and start clapping. When we do, you do that too. That means that the 10 minutes is up, so they will not go over. So regardless of what they say, we will just cut them off when the 10 minutes is up. Cool? Simple? So when you see us stand up, everyone stand up, and we will give them the biggest shout that we can. Alright? For the entrance, and also when they go out. Alright? We didn't do that many practice, but please give all your energy out to the candidates, because they worked really hard for this. Is it cool? Yeah. Alright. So let's get the election to begin.
Our next person.
Alright. Now, can everyone welcome your first MCP candidate, Dominic Smith!
Thank you, everyone. That was very exciting. So I want to start with this manifesto statement, which says, our purpose is bigger than our differences, so change is always possible. And that's why I'm here today, to take the transformations that have been occurring this year and to take them to the next level. My name is Dominic Smith, and I'm running for Member Committee President of ISIC United States 2015-2016. So today, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, my background, one story in my ISIC experience that got me to where I am today, and then I'm going to tell you about my vision to take ISIC US and to turn us into a leader in the international plenary. So to start, a little bit about myself. I joined ISIC in fall 2010 as a member of ISIC Michigan. Got a couple Michigan people. Very cool. I was an OGX member, so maybe it was more people. And later I became VP OGX. Following my VP term, I was the LCP for ISIC Michigan. LCP's in the house. And then I became regional coordinator for Gulf Coast. And today, I'm the director of local committee development for ISIC United States. So, the moment that I wanted to share with you was a moment that's very powerful in my ISIC experience. It was a moment that evoked love, belief, and action. And it happened at International Congress, the 65th, in Egypt. I was lucky enough to get an invitation from the president of ISIC International. And IC is kind of one of those conferences, it's a dream, I think, if you've been in ISIC for a while, but it's something that you never think you're going to be able to get to go to. It's just not attainable. And to get an invitation from the PAI, that was something that was so cool and so special. But to be honest with you, going to IC, going to Egypt, I was really scared and I was really unsure. And to share a little bit, I told my parents about it. I was super excited. I was like, hey Dad, I could go to Egypt, I could go to this conference, it's going to be so cool. What he had to say, this is my dad over here, my dogs. He said, fuck that. If you didn't know, Egypt was going through a revolution in 2013 that summer. The day I landed, 100 people died in the revolution, and you could see Cairo burning on the way in. But this conference was really special, because the love I felt at this conference was so deep and so pure, and the belief that this left me with remains to this day. I came to the IC in Egypt with 700 other ISICers, and while we came alone, at the conference, we were brought together. And to see a country where there was a desperation, a starving for youth leaders, a starving for social responsibility, and to see the youth there standing up for what they believed in, to make a difference in that community, was amazing. But better than that, we had people from 124 countries who were there to support them in the process. And I was one of them. And there's no way to describe that. That is so cool and so unreal. And that's when I realized that ISIC as an organization can accomplish anything. And at this conference, I made a promise. We had to write down a promise, and it was this. It was that I promised to do everything I can to make ISIC grow. So for me, coming back, what that meant was how can I make ISIC more relevant than just Michigan? So I was working with Paul Jackson in Ohio State to bring them back to the map, to start expansions in the United States, and to create what would eventually become an expansion strategy. After my LCP term ended, I wanted to work with the future leaders of ISIC in the regional chair position. So I went to Gulf Coast, last WNC, where I worked with all of the LCPs in the 4 regions, was able to put on a ROCS conference, and it also facilitated Manifest, which was one of the coolest experiences I've had. But while this was happening, there was also another opportunity. Neil was running for MCP, and he was elected on the platform to transform ISIC United States. And this is something that I wanted to be a stand for. So when I saw the opportunity to work with expansions again, and also be responsible for the development of all local committees in ISIC United States, this is something that I jumped on. And what I didn't tell you was, in 2013, I wrote about my experience in Egypt, which got published in ISIC Life and then later on the AI blog. So that's like my little international fame in ISIC. But I was reading about it because I wanted to check in on that experience. And what I said was, ISIC US isn't relevant. We don't have chapters in key markets such as Los Angeles and Boston. But I'm extremely proud to tell you today that we do have members representing Boston and representing Los Angeles in the room today. We have Amin, we have Greg, we have Charlene, all these amazing people. And that was a promise that I made to myself, to put these places on the map. And when I make a promise, I deliver. But that's today. So the question is, what about tomorrow? Well, tomorrow, I would like to be your MCP elect for ISIC United States. Sorry guys, I was just got over the here and wasn't clicking it. Classic thing. So yeah, I would like to be the MCP of ICP United States because where I see this organization going is I see an ICP United States that is a leader in the international plenary when it comes to innovation. We are going to be the entity that sets the pace for ISIC US and for ISIC International to move into 2015, to smash through 2015 straight into 2020. And that's the organization that I want to lead. And what I want to talk about are 3 key areas. So one of the areas is university relations. So in the United States, we have over 2,800 four-year institutions. Right now we have about 40 chapters. But picture this. Imagine that your local committee was funded to come to WNC because the university believes in ISIC and the TMP, TLP programs. That your university not only supports you in exchange, but they actively promote it and fund your members and your exchange participants to go abroad. That because of this, you're getting the best TMP, TLP candidates because of the increased branding that you're getting on your university. The university relations is an area that we're completely lacking in, but it's a resource that's right there in our very backyard. So this is the ISIC that I envision, and the way I see it happening is I have one position dedicated to university relations, and that position will be in charge of doing co-sales, similar to how we do BD. And they will work with you to help create solutions to involve your university as a partner. So you're not just a student organization on campus, but an active partner of your university. So the second area that I would like to touch upon is innovation. The United States is known for their innovators, whether it's from Ben Franklin, Thomas Edison, to Steve Jobs. But in ISIC, we haven't been on that cutting edge of innovation. And that's where I want to see the organization. Looking today, most of the innovations are coming online. Every minute, $272,000 are spent online. 92% of customers prefer information online and find it to be more valuable than information delivered in purpose. So picture an ISIC where we have all of our products accessible online, where we're no longer limited by the number of physical locations where we have universities, but in fact, we're an entity that truly represents the United States. The way I see this happening is by having 2 positions dedicated to innovation, one for ICX and one for OGX. I want to paint one more picture in your head really quick when it comes to innovation. Think about this. What if we had 200 people coming back from an internship in the US this summer? They were working on a social responsibility project for 6 weeks, going to communities, and going to areas that are desperately in need of diversity. And while delivering a social responsible project, they're also getting to experience the United States and experience that culture and bring it back to them. And this is possible if we start to pursue different visa options, if we work with the government to increase our relationship. And before, we haven't had anybody to do this, but on my team, we have a person who can handle this. And so that we're not dependent on the J1 visa, and the organizational sustainability increases, and our product portfolio is diversified. The last area I want to touch upon is the student market. In the United States, we have over 2 million students. I was an EPOJEC, so I had many people come to info sessions that wanted to go abroad and wanted to go on exchange, but they didn't have an opportunity that fit what they wanted. So picture this. These students we have, we find internships, they're going to make them successful. The internships will make them employable and make them the world citizens that this organization aims to do. And how do we do this? We survey the students. We see what they want. We do external research, and we bring it together at a summit. Like we had for the Global Leader program. And we create and we package a product. And not only do we package the product, but we sell it to our country partners. And we raise internships that are relevant for our students. What if we hit 1% of the market? That's 20,000 exchanges. The power of tapping into this and creating purposeful products is what the US needs. And I'm here to say that we have a right to demand the changes that will bring us one step closer to the peace and fulfillment of humankind's potential. Because our purpose is bigger than our differences. Change is always possible. Thank you.
How was that? Like, oh, you guys can sit down now. Save your energy when the candidate comes. And tell them to walk slower. So I did one quick small feedback on the cheering. So don't, at the end, because the slide changed, you guys, the cheer like dramatically ended, like almost like, whoa! Yeah. So please like keep your energy up until you actually see the 3 claps down. All right, like regardless of what's happening on the screen and stuff, like 3 claps down, that's when we end. All right, who? This is the old, so yeah, it means this, if you didn't know. Cool. So just one thing. So I would say just chill a little bit for now. Can we? Yeah, chill a little bit for now. And then I need to talk to these 2 people. Guys. Oh, see, that's not the candidates here. Oh, you guys can go. So stop walking around. The candidate is here. So everyone. Hey, Isaac! Are you ready? Are you ready for your MCP candidate number 2 to away?
In front of you today to be your MCP candidate for the year 2015 to 2016. In the next 10 minutes, I want to share a little bit about myself, what I've done, my hopes for this organization in this country, and how we're going to get there. So let's begin. I'm the youngest of 5 children. I was born in Louisiana. My parents were refugees in this country, and I was raised in a culture that really valued hard work, diligence, and a strong moral compass. And eventually, my journey in life brought me to North Carolina, where I attended university at Appalachian State University, which is this beautiful picture here. It's really beautiful. You should visit one day. And this school is where I first came to meet an Isaac, an organization that I eventually fell in love with, and that organization is Isaac. My experiences. I've been really fortunate to have so many different experiences that have transformed me because of this organization. I was LCVP IJIP of a nearly disbanded LC, and in this experience, I had to learn what it took to deliver results and hold myself accountable. And then I was LCP, I had the joy of becoming part of something way bigger than myself. And this is where I learned how to run a business, how to have responsibility over my own social enterprise. Being on the MC as a teammate, this challenge made me a small fish in a big pond again. And all the challenges that come with that, I had to learn that if I wanted to go far, I had to learn how to work together. And now, currently, in my role as MCP Talent Management, I have the honor and the opportunity to work with our most underutilized, untapped resource, and our biggest challenge for growth, our talent. My creates catalysts for societal change. The people that we develop, how many of them take the success that they've been able to achieve and only use it to benefit themselves? I dream of an ISEC United States that takes responsibility over the alumni that we create, so that we create an organization that creates alumni, that takes the values and experiences of ISEC and goes on after ISEC to do something positive for the world. Or else, what is the purpose of all of this? And what are we doing this for if not to change the world after we leave college? I dream of an ISEC United States that chooses to have both holistic member experiences and results. I think we think that we have to choose one or the other. I can't achieve results this semester in my LC because I'm focusing on providing good member experiences. But in fact, these things are completely intertwined, and you can't have one without the other. I want an ISEC United States that can do both, have both results and member experiences. Create a learning environment that allows members to both think and do at the same time. They're not just waiting to attend a conference or an induction to be told what to do, to be spoon-fed what to do, and then they go back to their LC and work. No, I want them to have the mental agility to be able to think and do at the same time, and ISEC is the experience that propels that and makes that happen. Members that can dance between both thinking and doing, creating a learning and development platform for them to do so. Because this mental agility is something that they're going to take on for the rest of their lives, to look at their environment and be able to act accordingly. That's a skill that you'll take on forever when you have to tackle the real big problems of the world. Last but not least, ISEC in the United States, my turn, will make our own rules. If we want to achieve results that we've never achieved before, we're going to have to do things different than we have ever done before. I want an ISEC United States that has purposeful products, where members care about the things that they're selling every day and see the connection from our mission to their daily, day-to-day operations. An ISEC US that puts efficiency first, that doesn't get so bogged down in our processes and optimizes these so that we're able to do more faster. An ISEC US that has an expansion strategy, that looks at our market and sees where to reach the universities and American students that we're in contact with. An ISEC US that has value-based partnerships. I believe that if companies see the bigger picture, and universities even see the bigger picture of what we're trying to achieve, those are the people we want to partner with. Those are the companies that will raise more than just 2 trainees. Those are the ones who will raise 10. And the universities that will want to partner with you to ensure that their students, they're going to go abroad, because this is a valuable leadership experience. An ISEC US that creates the supply. Why don't we look at our global network and say, if we have these CPs available, these profiles, can you raise traineeships in this summer? We have so many countries who look to us and say, we would love to have native English speakers from the United States. And we have those here. Why don't we reach out to what's around us? A US that localizes our operations. Because 11 people working in New York day to day can't do it all. I want to utilize regions, regional support teams, and regional coordinators to localize our operations so that the rest of our nation can have the ability to shape ISEC the way they see it, but also so that we can achieve more results as big as our nation is. And last but not least, I want to create a standard of excellence, a culture of excellence for membership, so that ISEC membership means something. So that if I say I'm a member of ISEC in the United States, you know that I've been held to a standard of performance, I've faced challenges, and I've been in an environment that gives me the mental agility. So in short, an ISEC United States that creates catalysts for societal change chooses to have both member experiences and achieve results, and makes our own rules. Because before in order to be leaders, we have to have the things a leader has. We have to have resources, we have to have external recognition, we have to have an MC, answer our emails faster, something, you know. And that way, once we have those things, finally we can do the things that a leader does. Finally, we can go out there and meet the CEO of a company or do a classroom presentation of people we've never met before. And then once we have done all those things, then I am a leader. I can finally be the leader I want to be. But actually, I think it's the opposite. If we want to have the things we want to have, first we have to embody leadership. We have to accept the transformational, the transformational process within us, and accept that and decide for ourselves that I want to be a leader. I want to stretch myself to ends that I've never stretched before, so that I can do the things a leader does. And if all of us in this room, if all the 1,265 members of ISEC United States were able to be more so that they could do more, then collectively as ISEC United States, we will have more results. Because this, achieving ISEC 2015, is the best thing we could have ever asked for. It's scary, it's big, but this is the challenge of a lifetime, to prove to ourselves and the world that we can be the forerunners of change, that we can be the leaders that we imagine in ourselves to be. So, ISEC in the US, are you ready to not just be an exchange organization, or an organization that facilitates talent placement? Are you ready to be a leadership development organization? And this doesn't mean, leadership development doesn't mean you just sit back and the results don't come in. It actually means quite the opposite. It means that no longer is it okay for you to come home and say, my club isn't, the small club that no one ever has heard about. It means you're going to be the premier organization on your campus. You're going to be the one that companies want to partner with and are banging on our doors to work with. You're going to be the one that universities want on our campus, on their campuses, because it actually provides more value for their education. ISEC United States, my name is Sue Nguyen. Thank you so much for listening to this. I'm standing before you to say, I'm ready to take on this challenge with you. And I hope that you are ready to.
Okay, everyone, that was awesome. Like whatever you guys just did, just keep on doing for the next two and you guys will be okay. Like no feedback, no bad feedback, yeah. Thumbs up everyone, thumbs up, good job, good job. All right, so since there's not really need for practice, we just need to chill a little bit.
Can you tell a joke?
Can I tell a joke?
I got a joke.
No, we're on viral. I know a lot of racist jokes. I don't want to say anything.
I got a joke.
Who here has a good joke?
Terry!
All right, Terry.
Yeah, Terry! He likes me.
live stream. Stand up so you can get the live stream.
So I'm really into puns. And what? Okay. Okay. How many tickles does it take to make an octopus laugh? 10 tickles. 10 tickles. Why did the worm eat Mozart? Why did the worm eat Mozart? Because he's a decomposer. Right?
My pickup lines later.
What's Beethoven's favorite fruit?
Banana.
What's Beethoven's favorite fruit?
Banana.
I don't know why.
The song.
Right. Alright, so everyone, we have our third candidate up. So are you guys ready? Hey Isaac! Are you ready? Are you ready for your third candidate? MCP candidate, Tian
Wow. Thank you so much, guys. Wow. Okay, so my name is Tian Quach. I'm the girl that cannot dance, but was up here dancing like 5-6 roll calls. To be really honest, that's probably the most roll calls I've done in a row in my 4 years in high school. Why? Because I know that this is important and I have fun. And also, you guys are awesome. Dancing with you guys is one of the best things that I can do. The very first thing I want to talk about is fear. What am I afraid of? I'm afraid of heights. Freaking terrified of heights. No roller coasters for me. I'm just like, Six Flags, I'm gonna stay home. Right? And like when I was a child, I wouldn't even go down slides. It doesn't matter if it's like 2 feet or 5 feet. It always felt like 20. And I would just like, I get up there and I'm like, today's gonna be my day. And I look and I'm like, nope, tomorrow. I like back up a little bit and like run down the stairs. And all the kids always stare at me and they're like, I mean, I'm just really afraid of heights. But Isaac has the power to transform people and to allow them to face their fears. After my freshman year of college, I went to Romania for an internship. I did GLOSS as an internship. And halfway through the internship,
I was hitchhiking across Romania. Hitchhiking is probably not the recommended activity that you do. Actually, it is in guidebooks for Romania. And I still have not told my parents this is what I've done. And I did it because I really trusted the people that I was with. And that is an experience that started, and it ignited my passion for Isaac. And it ignited my passion for people, and for bringing out the best in people by bringing out the best in myself. So when you understand the power of personal transformation through Isaac, you start to understand what this organization can do, because it really changes people, really changes you, and it makes you want to help other people experience the same. When you understand that, anything is possible. So, before I go any further, I want you guys to take out your cell phone or your notebook. Take notes. If you have any questions, any comments, any ideas during this presentation, I want to talk to you about it. So write it down, don't let it slip. We can have a conversation afterwards. But it's kind of weird for me to keep talking about what I want to do next year as MCP without recognizing that right now, you guys are generation 2015. And 2015 hasn't even started. And I already feel all the excitement, all the power, all the passion from you guys. And I know it's going to be a really good year. I wanted to say damn good year, and I just said it. It's a good year. It is. And that's your MCP, OGCPP. I'm going to do everything in my power, and I know my team will do that, to make this the best year ITUS has ever had. And I'm recognizing that. But one of the things that really struck me when I was writing my MCP application is, what do I want to see for 2020? Because I will be in charge of creating a vision for this organization in the next 5 years. And what is it that I want? I didn't know. What is it that I want? I want more exchanges. I want to see people be happy. I want myself to be happy. I want some cool things, but what does that translate to? And I want an Isaac that's bigger than ever before. But it starts with an individual. Everything starts with the individual. I want individuals in Isaac to think deeper, learn to make those connections when there are problems. You can find a solution to them, and you act fast. You act fast because that's the speed of the world that we live in right now. It's a fast-paced world. Why? Because leadership comes first. In my 4 years in Isaac, what I've recognized is, because we really wanted to grow in our exchanges and grow in our impact, we really focus on our processes. We built the roller coaster. The roller coaster is there. It's awesome. It's not like the shaggy, rickety, wooden one. It's like high-tech, whatever cool, metal they use. It's metal, it's cool. Right? And that's what we created. But who is on this roller coaster? How many of us are on this roller coaster, and are we ready to take the plunge? And I know that we are. We just need to push it, right? You guys are the generation that are going to push it. Because the work that you guys do in 2015 is going to help your successor reach 2020. I want us to start investing in leadership and innovation of the greatest resource in the United States, in the world, and that's people, young people, like you guys. Yeah? And I want ISAC to start defining the rules. I mean define the rules. We're not going to talk about youth, global youth surveys, because we are the global youth. People are coming to us, Ashoka, they're coming to us because they want to hire people. Apple's coming to us to hire people. They're not going to say that they're just maybe not that impressed with the university that we're present in. Because it doesn't matter what university you go to anymore. It's what you can produce and what you learn. What you say and what you can help other people do. Right? That's what I see for ISAC. And I want us, take a minute to giggle a little bit, but I want us to increase our market penetration and our market share. In ICS, in our major cities, major markets like Chicago, Atlanta, Dallas, Seattle, San Francisco, New York, we have at least a 2% market share in important operations such as IT and marketing. Because once we have at least 2% of the job market, we have a voice, and we're defining the rules. And if we have a 5 to 10% market share in university markets, what does that mean? Let's take 5%. In an average university in the US where you guys are present, there's 30,000 students. 5% of that That's 1,500 students if you send abroad as an LC. But you don't do it in a year, you do it over 5 years, right? These kind of goals, these kind of visions and ambitions help you create the flexibility to compound your goals every single year. Because eventually, you know that you will have 1,500 people that you send abroad. And what is the voice, the impact, the relevance of Isaac then? That we are sending 1,500 people abroad per LC. Okay. So, I keep talking about all this stuff, and I have some numbers to prove it. So, who knows about Google Fiber? Yeah, most people are. So, Google Fiber, I'm sorry. Google Fiber claims that the services they provide is 100 times faster than the average internet. What is 100 times faster? That means you can download a 2-hour movie, a whole movie, in 2 minutes. And it's happening right now. Google Fiber is in cities right now. 100 times faster is already here. One of the biggest things I learned in my MCP term so far is that this organization, our organization as it is too slow to really capture the speed. Yeah, I know you guys remember, I'm not sure if you guys remember, but RMC released the Sales Playoffs campaign in October, and we didn't really give the LCs a lot of advance notice about it. We can talk about that later. But what I noticed from that actually, it takes about 3 weeks for any LC to really implement and mobilize the people to really implement these strategies. And it takes another 3 weeks for results to actually show. So it takes 6 weeks for anything to happen. What can happen in 6 weeks? What is the time span in 6 weeks? 6 weeks is game changing. 6 weeks is what we sell on the global citizen internships. We tell people their life can change in 6 weeks. Here in the US, 6 weeks is when you finish recruiting your members, you train them, and they start having meetings, recruiting the VPs. A lot can happen in 6 weeks. And 6 weeks is too long for us to waste. So this is a concept called organizational agility. And this is what I want to adapt for our ROD, our organizational development in this organization. And this is a concept I got from consultancy work like Accenture. And I believe that together, this plenary can create a system, a structure, in which we can fully implement this into our organization. Because the structures are there. These need to be fast enough. Or smart enough to figure out how to be fast enough. This is why I want you guys to take notes, right? This presentation is not, or this speech is not about how I'm telling you what I'm going to do. This is about how we're going to get there together. So don't wait for an Isaac syllabus, because an Isaac syllabus does not exist, especially for a country like the US. The US does not. There are no rules. There's nothing that we can base, there's very little we can base things on, especially the opportunities that we have. 2020 needs you now. This idea, this thinking, this mentality needs you now. Isaac US needs to move at the speed of opportunity. Because once we figure out how to do it, anything is possible. And it's time for leadership to come out and play. Thank you.
How's it going so far? 75% down? Yeah. Alright, awesome on the cheering. Everyone, keep on going with that. One thing I forgot to mention for us, if everyone can turn off your cell phone or put it on silent, that would be great. So everyone can take your phone and check it right now, please. Thank you. Cool. All right, so with that aside, we have one more to go. And who has a joke? I like that hand. All the way back. Oh, me. Oh, he's practicing with his friends. So, what is the difference between a tuna, a piano, and a jar of glue? You can tuna piano, but you can't piano a tuna. I mean, you get stuck there. All right, we have another one over here.
You guys heard the joke about butter? Well, I better not tell you. You might spread it.
Are you sure you guys are like listening to the MC speeches, or you're like, oh, let me think of what jokes I can say next year. Let me write that down. No. All right, I think we have to top one for. Oh, there. All right, no, that one's first. Sorry. That's fine there.
What do you call a nerve with no eyes?
No idea.
All right. We have our last candidate. So everyone, please stand. All right. Hey, Isaac. Are you ready to welcome your MCP, your last MCP candidate, Card Card!
My name is Karan Goenka, and I'm really proud and honored to stand in front of you to be your member committee president for 2015-2016. I want to give you my all. I want you to know who I am. I want you to know why I'm here and what my dream is for Isaac in the United States. I was born 22 years ago, and yeah, I used to be a lot cuter. And that's my mom, one of the most important people for me, and I really hope she's watching me on live stream right now. And today, after 22 years of my life, after living away from home for the last 11 years, I'm standing in front of you as an honest and an ambitious man, and someone who's always striving for excellence in whatever I do. I want to start off by talking to you about 3 key moments that really define me as a person. First, when I was 1 year old, my parents got divorced. And yeah, it was a challenging experience as I grew up, but honestly, it was a gift. As I was growing up, I had the opportunity to deal with so many more challenging environments and moments than my peers, which really helped me stand out, which really helped me become who I am. The second, when I was 12 years old, I went to boarding school. And the first one I went to, I really understood the importance of being independent. I understood the importance of taking ownership over your actions and being responsible. And the second one I went to is called United World College. And there were 200 of us from 70 different countries. And that is where I truly understood how big this world is. And how I play a small, small part in this massive world. And the third one, between the ages of 12 and 18, I used to be a professional go-karter and Formula car racer. And that's where I understood how relentless you have to be to always try to be number one. The importance of striving for excellence has a massive value for me, and the importance of being consistent. And at the age of 18, I had to make probably one of the toughest decisions of my life, where I had to choose between taking that as a profession and going through with education. I'm proud of the decision that I made, and I stand by it till date. My ISAC experience actually started way back in 2010. When I wasn't even part of ISAC United States, I was involved with ISAC in Calcutta. I joined them. I had no idea about the organization. The first meeting I went to, there was no recruitment process whatsoever. They threw water on my head. And I was like, is this a prank? Just because I showed up and I wanted to help you guys out. I was really confused. But that's when I found out, whoa, now I was responsible for recruitment. So I had no idea what this organization does. I had to go sell this organization and tell them, yeah, you're going to have a great experience in this organization. But that was the hook. That's when I realized, God, this organization is going to put me in challenging environments and really help me develop both as a person and professional. And that's what happened. 2012, I was DPTM for ISAC Northwestern. That's where I really understood the importance of aligning an individual's needs and an organization's needs for both the member to have a good experience and for the organization to move forward. In 2013, I had the honor of being local committee president for ISAC Northwestern, where I began to understand how to create organizational change, how organizations behave, and we were able to move from an entity nowhere in the picture of ISAC United States to win the Breakthrough Entity Award at 2013 WNC last year. And right now, I'm your MCVP IGIP, where I took that challenge because, yeah, the program was declining, and it was said it's really hard to do, we won't be able to do it. And I'm really proud that all of us here have made IGIP grow in a manner in which we have more results in opportunities raised and matched in this semester than any other MC term since the revolution. And yeah, I've been in the United States for the past 4.5 years. And I've learned a lot about the country, a lot of things that I had thought, some came true, and it was really cool. And even now, there are times where Hans, Don, they make these jokes and I have no idea what's going on. I'm like, okay, makes sense, I'm gonna laugh, and then I understand. But something that really surprised me when I came to Northwestern, and does till date, is the amount of cliques that I saw at Northwestern. I was really surprised. This is a very diverse country, probably one of the most. And I was surprised that all the American Indians were with each other, all the American Asians were with each other. And it didn't make sense to me until it doesn't, because I would assume as you're growing up, as you're moving forward, you see these people in your classes, you see these people in your extracurricular activities. And the most, I guess, I'm not sure what word I should use, powerful moment I had was when I was in Phoenix in 2012. I was at the airport in line for security. And there was this white middle-aged man standing in front of me, and he took his bag and he just hit me. The first time I thought, okay, no, it's fine, he was probably moving around, like I got hurt, it's fine. He did it the second time, the third time, the fourth time. And that's when I was like perplexed, I was like, what's going on? And he said, do we have a problem? And I was like, yes, and I wanted to go on before that, I could complete my statement. He looked at the security guard and said, do you know what country you're in? And that is why I'm still in ISAC United States, to be very, very honest. I'm really glad that happened. Because I want to change that in this country. This country is very diverse, but it's not inclusive. And I believe ISAC has the ability to make that change. I have seen ISAC make that change at both the micro and macro level. Looking at some of the people here, including myself, at a micro level we've developed. Looking at some of the LCs here, as well as ISAC United States, at a macro level we've developed. ISAC United States has the ability to make this difference, have impact in terms of a more cultural tolerance, and make this country a lot more inclusive. And that is my dream for ISAC United States. How can we be a country, how can we be an entity that is so accessible and relevant that a whole generation of young people want to experience that? Imagine if every single member and EP and trainee had as impactful and powerful experience that both of us have had, all of us have had. Everyone would want to be an ISAC. Everyone would want to promote ISAC. So how do we make ISAC so accessible? Through my story, through your story, and every other ISACer story that has had a powerful experience. How do we extract this? How do we understand what makes our membership development and leadership development program so unique, so great? Let's extract that and truly develop leaders. Because if we don't develop leaders, that's like saying Nike doesn't know how to make shoes and DHL does not know how to deliver packages. Because ISAC is a leadership development organization. And that is where my platform comes from. My platform comes from, it's called Innovative Actions. Because if we continue just doing the way we are, we will grow. We will get closer to the destination, but not at the destination. We need to learn from what we're doing, do that better, but also look at different and more innovative ways of doing things. And how will we do it? I have four key focus areas that I really want to look into. First is faster education. Right now, we spend semesters and sometimes even years to deliver, start performing as members. How can we make education so accessible and so easily delivered that in 2 weeks members are ready to perform? Conversion. It's not just about creating a massive target market. We have thousands of meetings. We have hundreds of applications. How can we increase our conversions? How can we make one member deliver 3, 4, 5 exchanges and not just 5 members delivering 1 exchange? Third, external relevance. ISAC should not be called anymore as the best kept secret. How can we become a brand that people know of? We've been here for 65 goddamn years, but I still have to explain to people what AIESCC stands for, right? So how can we be at more events? How can TED invite us to actually be speakers? How can universities invite us at events? And lastly, innovation. It needs to be at the forefront of our operations. And that is why I have that operations team leader who's going to be responsible for innovation and the functional heads who would also be responsible for innovation. It can no longer be just something that happens on the side because, yeah, we may go from here to here, but I want ISAC to go from here all the way there. That's how we become the most relevant and most accessible organization possible. And in order to do that, the kind of leaders we need are purposeful. We started with the manifesto, but how can we make our purpose more inculcated with our operations? We need ambition. We need to dream big. Growing by 10, 20%, 30% is no longer an option. And lastly, we need to be outcome-oriented. We need to have our actions, we need to know what we want, and that's what matters. It's not just the effort we put in, but it's the customer experiences that we deliver on, it's the leaders we develop, because ISAC is a leadership developing organization. Thank you so much. My name is Carter Goenka, and I want to be your member for 2015 and 2016.
All right. That's all your 4 candidates speech. I hope you enjoyed it. So quickly, before we take our 5 minutes break, can we invite our election manager, Phil, up to explain about the next part?
All right, so we just finished all the speeches. Let's hear it for those 4 speeches. All right, so our speeches have finished. Up next, like I said, we have our Smart Talks. which I'm gonna basically leave it open and have Jeff dive into it when we come back in. Just wanted to say really quick, so we're taking a 5-minute break for the candidates to kind of breathe and compile themselves. They're all gonna come in when we return. So this isn't a break for everybody to go leave and get water and go to the bathroom, but if you're in an emergency, I know you've been here for about an hour, and you're gonna spoil yourself if you don't run to the bathroom, this is the time when you're allowed to do that. So like I said, we'll let you go and leave if you really need to go, but please don't go just to go. You can stand up and stretch, and in about 5 minutes, we'll I'll jump back up here and we'll start the smart talks. Is that clear? Cool, thank you.
I think the questions, not actually calling it there, but so I think the question is how long. Because right now, if we start at 10, yeah, I'm gonna go see the candidates.
Should we just go?
Yeah, leave it.
Yeah.
Come on! So mine is just like interesting, like I feel like that, and then you get to the thing where like how good it is, how bad it is, and then say graduate with like all I read so far.
What are some really obvious things you want to take that for people face?
Steve Jobs,
Amazon, Chipotle, Uber.
the Chinese company, Alibaba.
Well, Amazon.
And Alibaba is a game changer for China. That market.
Oh, yeah. So, I know. I mean, in terms of the content of time, not now. But Walmart is
James Watcher? Like the final one in the engineering physics.
okay, name industry.
Hey Isaac! So we're about to start. Can everyone start sitting down? Let's see. OC, can we get the light up a little bit? So I think it's okay since we won't be able to do the PowerPoint, just go full on. Full. Morning, everyone. Hello, hey Isaac. All right, so we're about to start our smart talk for the MCP election. So this time, we'll still cheer, but no one needs to stand up. But however, let's still give all our energy as much as possible since it is the last time, the last thing on the agenda for tonight. And all four of them will be coming in together. So you only have to do it once instead of 4 times. Alright, so can we now welcome all the MCP candidates? Alright, MCP candidates, how are you guys doing? So, as you all know, today's smart topic says one of the objectives of the conference is about game changers. That's what we'll be focusing on. So, just to give everyone an idea, what exactly does a game changer mean? So it's quite simple. It's basically saying that it's an idea or an event that happened that has changed the way on how we think and do things. So for example, some really obvious ones are Apple, Steve Jobs, in terms of how he changed the music industry and then established the tablet, Amazon, how it changed the speed to delivery in terms of customer experience in the retail industry, Starbucks and its transforming coffee industry, So you guys get the idea, yeah? Cool. So just so that we're on the same page and now we can start smart talk. You guys ready? Cool. So I think the first question, how it'll work, is that I'll ask the same question for all 4 of you guys. And then you guys will go one by one. And then after that, I probably will have more follow-up questions for each individual. And then hopefully it can be more conversational and we can just have fun with it. Yeah, just relax and have fun. Yeah. Cool. So the first question is, what is one game changer regarding its a recent or past that you think has transformed young people's development and behavior right now? And oh, sorry. So, so it's a game. So name one game changer that you're very passionate about regarding the young people's development. So I guess Don, we can go and then yeah. Sorry, I forgot the word.
Okay. I think it might take 2 seconds.
No. Well, we can really start anywhere.
So I'm just gonna go with my gut when I first thought of. So this is gonna sound super nerdy, but I personally love. Hello? Oh, good. So this is about to sound really nerdy. I don't know how, what exactly you're looking for. But first thing I thought of on my mind, something I'm particularly passionate about, is books and reading. So a little bit about me, my parents had to drop me off at libraries because they couldn't afford babysitters, so I spent a lot of time, hours in the library just reading. And for me, that was a game changer. Reading at such a young age, books gave me the ability to dream, to be as brave as the heroes I was reading about, to empathize with situations I didn't even have to, live through to feel. So for me, that was a game changer. And I think that opened a lot of perspective for me for the rest of my life.
Okay, so this is also kind of nerdy, but in other way. So things I like are fashion, celebrity culture, and books, and makeup. And so the first thing, and feminism. And so, so the first thing I'm thinking about is Emma Watson speaking at the UN about the nutrition campaign. I think that's a game changer. Because first, I think young people, like people in our generation, are really obsessed with celebrity culture. Like the Kim Kardashian game is like, she's making a lot of money, right? She's playing this game. But Emma Watson's using her celebrity and her and that I guess that, what's it called, that influence to really talk about an issue that people care about and people should care about more. So I think it's a really good example of how young people are paying attention to something that maybe before they were a little bit scared to talk about, or maybe they just didn't pay attention to because somebody knew that they had an influence and dared to talk about it in a environment, a venue that like a lot of people pay attention to, such as the UN.
Cool. So how many people here have heard about Khan Academy? So it's the majority of people. Yeah, so for me, Khan Academy is a game changer. And I think there are two big reasons for me. One, I'm extremely passionate about education. That's the sector that I aspire to get into, especially in India and hopefully around the world, and how I can make education a lot more easily accessible. And by easy, I mean it's accessible virtually as well as in terms of cost. And I think that's what Khan Academy has done. It's less about degrees, it's less about whether you went to a prestigious university or not, but it's more about, okay, I want to learn how to trade stocks. Let's go to this website, and there are tutorials about it. I want to learn something about biology. Let's go to this website, and there are tutorials about it. And for me, it's an incredible resource. I think it helped me pass a lot of my classes in Northwestern, to be very honest. But yeah, for me, Khan Academy would be a game changer. It made education very easily accessible to this world, which is increasingly getting on the internet, whether or not you're in an urban or a rural area.
Cool. And so the one that I'll talk about is one that's personal to me because I have family members who are involved with this. That's Teach for America. So that's something that my sister did coming out of university in Michigan. She worked in Oakland teaching at school, and that's what she does today. And so what I think is great about that is you have people who are getting their college education from premier academic institutions and then bringing them into the culture of service and putting them in communities that desperately need teachers that are influencing the youth. Even younger than what ISEC does. And I think that's really cool because people like my sister, who was a public policy major, she wasn't going to be a teacher, but now that's her profession. And I think she makes a really important impact on kids in Oakland. And I think that that's what that kind of organization does and has long-lasting implications because we're shaping the future of children.
Cool. And I'm curious with Tuham and Tim, I was wondering what are some venues of game changers so I think books and fashion are great, and then what do you think are some particular examples that really have changed the way how people get access to books or fashion, or even the way how people communicate in those two aspects, in the book industry and also in the fashion industry?
So this is a recent Christmas present for me too, but I recently got an iPad and a bunch of books and gift card. And I think, I love reading. I always have like 2 or 3 books that I'm reading at the same time. And it seems like so simple to we have iPads, we have tablets, and of course having all of these things in your hand, it's like an ingenious idea. But it's like having an entire library in your hands. And if you think about libraries, that's where infinity and everything that has existed and could exist, is in a library. And that's what you have in your pocket. And that's amazing. I think that means that I don't have to be inconvenienced to be inspired, to have ideas, to hear about other perspectives. And that's something I've recently have been at, it's my new book. So I think e-readers, and I also think this is the new generation we're looking at. There's kids who play with an iPad when they're 3. They're not looking at paper books, they're not looking at the traditional ways we've always learned. They're looking at something they can touch and play with and change. And that's so cool. It takes it to a whole other level. It means that, yeah, this is now it's an interactive experience. It's not just happening in my head. I'm not just receiving information. I can, do with it what I want.
Yeah, so I really agree with Hong. Some of the things that I'm thinking about is first, I think the prevalence of fashion in books is about identity. I think in the modern world and the world that we live in, I think that's how people express themselves. They express themselves through writing. They express themselves through the way they dress. It's the way they communicate with the world, right? There are two very different things. I think ideally, I think some people say that somebody who likes books might not like fashion, but I think there are two ways you communicate who you are to the world. And I think what's really special here, and I think I agree with what Tuhong's saying, is the availability of these things, the ability to share these things with the world now without barriers, physical barriers, having to publish it, having to find somebody who publish it. You can publish these things yourself. You can sell your clothing on Etsy, right? You can make these things yourself. It's about the availability of the sharing aspect. And I think that's expansive, and I think it expands the communication that we're allowed to have. I think that's really cool.
Actually, I really like all the answers, and I think a common trend that we really hear is on technology and sharing and open market. So with that in mind, how can we really push the tools? I mean, if let's say you were the president and today the UN invited you to talk about how can we get education more accessible, and in terms of education, or personal identity, any type of added value things that can really develop people to become a better person and leader. How can we get that message across more accessible to people through those venues? You want me to clarify or?
I think the last clarification, if you could just, that last point that you mentioned, I think that's the final answer question you want to answer. If you could just say that again. So make it as concise as you want to just say what you did.
Let me put it in an action scenario. So, if UN today invited you to say, how can we put youth voice in terms of, because today we talk a lot in through technology, social media, especially with Kim, what you talked about in terms of identity. Everyone express themselves through these media. So if UN wants you to bring in to talk about that topic, what would you talk about? And just to give you guys a name, have you guys seen that picture where people are under the tree before, everyone are in the park and etc. playing, and now everyone are on iPads and etc. Have you guys seen that photo? So think about that.
Okay, so I think for me, the first thing would be to know the audience, and that's the United Nations. So it's probably not to hit this fresh group of people. We actually get to work with the United Nations and see some of the presentations, and sometimes they're cool, sometimes not so cool. But I think the first thing would be to share a story about how you interact with social media, so how I interact with social media and how that's changed over my life, and try to make that relatable to them. Because I think that's not very clear. If you have some parents, like my dad, who do any social media, that's who I would think about when I was making this presentation. My mom's a pro, she gets it. So I'd be Dad, I would run it by him. And let me tell you about social media and why it's cool. If I can convince him, I think I can convince him.
Okay, so just a quick thing, because I don't really know the answer to this, but I'm using my Isaac mentality right now. I'm using my Isaac brain, and I'm why don't we just approach the UN and tell them what Tom said? It's hey UN, right now you want to change the world, but you're kind of not. So let me help you do something about it. Another thing is I think we could relate this back to celebrity culture. Finding people with that voice that young people care about, that influence that's enough to mobilize them into action. And if I give any kind of talk at the UN, it's about action. I think that's what I would talk about. What's out there?
So when you first said the UN, I immediately thought like the salesperson side of me. It's like, how do we align our values with this? And so both our organization then want to create social good, positive change. And an issue that first comes to my mind is, and that's due to social media, is you guys are probably familiar. Yeah. Like I didn't even know about this because like I said, it's only been 6 months since I graduated, but I didn't know about it until recently with everything that's happened with Ferguson and all the race conversations that were happening. And I saw some really atrocious comments on this anonymous Twitter feed, this app, and where people can hide, but you know, it's anonymous, they can't see, so then they say what they feel. And some of those things are really disturbing and really awful. And what I want to say is, not how do we combat this, like not like how do we like, you know, bring all these people to life, make them share their names or something, you know, like how can we utilize this comfort that social media has of anonymous, I'm not being anonymous, and use it for something good. Why, you know, like I think about how large scale GigPack is and how we can use these channels to express like anonymous things that help people feel better about themselves. Say things like, you're not alone in that. You know, feel that way, and I'm here for you. And it could be a complete stranger, and you would never know, but feel that connection, even though it's through social media, and it's not a connection that's negative. How can we utilize this trend that you want and have, and use it for something good?
Yeah, I really second most of what all of you guys said. The only one thing I would like to add that I would really focus a lot more on would be showcasing the scale of reach that you can get through social media. So something that I would maybe look at is saying, okay, maybe the UN tried to do a specific project maybe 5-10 years ago, and then say if they were able to use social media and be able to reach millions and millions of individuals a lot faster, how sooner that project could have been completed, and how sooner that impact would have had. And the example I would also use is the My World survey that the UN is using right now, and say how their goal, I'm not sure what their exact goal was, but their goal was to reach, say, a certain amount, but they reached that a lot faster, and honestly a lot more because they were using social media to actually send out those surveys and get more people involved and get more organizations like ISAT that are youth leadership providers who would be associated and would align their visions with such kind of a product. So I will talk a lot more about how do you use social media to increase the scale of the reach, thereby the impact, and thereby making the implementation a lot faster.
Tuhan, I thought what you, I thought what you said was really interesting in terms of the accessibility of information, and also in terms of a lot of the technology change. So if you have that in mind, my question is, what are some skills and development because of all the access, the large information that young people have accessible to right now? What are some skills and development areas that young people need to develop right now in order for them to become a better leader for their future jobs, so they can become a better candidate for their future jobs and succeed in the future? And it's open for everyone.
I really believe in this. I believe it's mental agility. I think it's being able to look at your environment and respond accordingly and not, you know, feel boxed in by the way things have always been done. I think we go to school and we, you know, sit in a classroom, get lectured at for 45 minutes, and, you know, after 6 of those, we get an exam. And that's the way we are, you know, our society tells us to learn. But look how fast we learn, just like the example Carmen was saying, through things like Khan Academy. Look at how fast we learn just because we saw some friends post like some rants about how much they love their new phone. Like, some people having the mental agility to think for themselves and not feel like they have to be boxed in the way they've always been. And say like, we're gonna break the rules and that's it.
Yeah, so I think it's, I'm always cursing, but I think it's the ability to cut through the bullshit. It's the ability to like sort through which media, like which channel, like social media channel, it is that it's actually relevant and important to what it is that you're doing at that exact moment, and what is it that you're reading. Because like, I think something that we need to learn as young people is how to like post things in 160 characters, how many days that you have on Twitter, like post things in a very concise way, so that people like will grab people's attention like almost instantly. But at the same time, as when they click on that, it's like, what's the information that's given there? Is that like beneficial? Is that relevant? Is that like heavy content, right? So I would say like reading the actual social media and the content, the things that are being communicated, what's being communicated, kind of do that bullshit.
Yeah, I would agree a lot with what Kim said. And I think in general, outside of just social media, I think one of the biggest skills that I think young people and just individuals in general need today is how can you communicate in an effective manner? Is how can you put, maybe you had 25 work experiences, 25 internship experiences. How can you say in a very concise, maybe 1 or 2 lines, what you did, what you got out of it, so that as soon as I see it, I know exactly who I'm talking to and what I can expect out of it. And the same way, when you're trying to communicate with each other, what's the easiest way in the most concise manner you can explain what you want to say? Because people today don't have time. And people today have a lot of options. So I think the skill you can really have is if you can effectively communicate in a concise manner while you're engaging with each other. I think that's what people need to be.
Yeah, I definitely like what everybody said. I think the first thing that jumped to my mind was the leadership development model and how that fits into kind of everybody's saying, like Carmen saying, like effective communication. I think self-awareness is a big thing. And I think to really just finding information fast and using your resources. I think that's something that we're not always great at is, yeah, maybe we're having a conversation, we have Google right there, we can look up something. Or we're gonna do a session, like we can just Google that and like give you more valuable information than like whatever I'm just gonna tell you off the top of my head. And I think that's really important, is like showing people you know how to use resources. The last thing that I don't think anybody touched upon was just interpersonal skills. Because I think that's something that's super important, especially with the emergence of social media and this kind of moving yourself away from communicating with others directly. But when it comes to business or your future career, you're probably going to have to work face-to-face with somebody. And so I think that these relationships are really important. Behind every sale is an interpersonal relationship. And so I think that's something that our students need now more than ever, because they're not forced to communicate with each other. You can go to class on your laptop, you can just chat with your friends. I guess nobody uses AIM anymore. You can add Facebook chat. So I think that having those human connections, that's something that's really important.
And I was wondering if so what is one opportunity or idea that you see, maybe it's existing or like a future idea that you saw that's very like that's just started that had helped that will help the things that that I just described. So Dom, you were talking about interpersonal skills, effective communication, cutting through the bullshit data and information, and to talk about mental agility. There's so many, especially if you guys look through app stores or like Apple app stores and etc. There's so many different types of tools that's already available. So regardless is currently available or unavailable, what is something that you can, if you created something, that's a $100 idea, that's great. But if you can share some of that in examples with them.
So I think this one is one that maybe is more appropriate for Connor to talk about. But I wanted to just touch upon the new sales approach that we're taking. We have this BD summit here to make more effective sellers. And a lot of what that is based on is those interpersonal connections and who you should be reaching out to, how you can leverage alumni, how you can leverage people, and taking somebody who's good at it, somebody who has experience, and directly working with somebody else to teach that. And so I think that's really cool. And I don't know if you want to talk about it. I think Connor's much smarter than that.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Like there's not much more for me to add. The other thing I was going to talk about was, I'm not sure there needs to be an application or a website or a resource center, but something about linguistics. And honestly, one of the first times that I thought about that a lot more was actually at the top of the day. And I think the kind of words you use when you're trying to say things really make a big difference. And I hadn't honestly thought about that a lot before I said. And it was like, yeah, you use a general word and it'll probably make sense, but no. A word has a very different meaning or a connotation to me as opposed to what it could be to Natalie or someone else. Right? So I think some kind of a tool or knowledge center about linguistics, about like different situations. You may be saying things, but like the way you say it actually comes across in a different manner. But I also really agree this interpersonal connection and like one-on-one coaching or like more interactions about these concepts are really important, because otherwise we're just going to be on our tablets, we're just going to be on our phones and on these websites. And I think there is definitely something to interpersonal coaching and interpersonal learning in life.
So my original one is cutting through the bullshit. And so right now, what I'm thinking about is how can I apply all those research papers skills I learned in college to what I do on the internet? And right now I don't. I don't look for sources. I don't look for like the indentations. I don't even know what they're called. The footnotes. The footnotes. I don't really look for like the things that I look for when I was doing like research papers. And I don't think that needs to be. I think that can be adapted, maybe not in the same exact way, because research papers and social media articles are not the same. But I think the same concept can be applied there. Because right now, like what I do is I base it on the first paragraph, like inverted pyramid. If the first paragraph like has data and stuff, then I keep reading. If it doesn't, I just move on. But that might not always be the best.
It's not always like an invention, but for mental agility, I think about gamification as a theory, as it's being practiced. I think it's so cool how we've taken learning. Like I can learn more about teamwork from playing a game with my teammates in 20 minutes than I can read about teamwork, And and there's that personal side of gamification, but there's also things like apps and games and ways to learn by leveling up. And I think that's so cool. It's taking learning to a new level. It's giving you the mental agility to, as you're working, as you're doing, you're thinking about what are my next steps? How do I react to this? And you almost learn without even realizing it. And I think that's pretty cool.
Thank you. So let's move away from industry a little bit and let's jump into the professional service side. In terms of professional service, so consulting is in a professional service space is when you are working with, not with a consumer, but with another company. So one of the PwC, the global HR director, Jim Walsh, he said one thing that he really likes ISECers because ISECers tend to work for something that is bigger for themselves. And therefore, like actually people retain in the organization. But in professional service, you're not really working for yourself, you're working for the client. So sometimes you don't get that ownership, and you see in professional service regarding as consulting, auditing, or etc., people leave really fast. So if today Jim Walsh comes to you, he doesn't want ISEC's products, but he wants your suggestion. What suggestion would you give him to solve this problem? Retention.
So I think, it really depends. And I know the PwC, definitely a for-profit company, and maybe they don't choose all the clients that they have. But I think that if you really want to engage these people, then if you're working with companies that have some kind of social impact or some kind of greater good, so that they know that while they might not be a permanent resident of that company, the work that they're doing is bigger than themselves and it's bigger than just money. And so the impact that they're having, you're helping create organizations that are built to last. And giving them the why of what they're doing and making that very strong, and I think that would help a lot.
I think
wait, so the build to last, sorry, I'll do a quick follow-up, and then the build to last. So PwC had lasted a long time, but it doesn't solve the problem of the high turnover. So can you kind of touch around that and clarify that?
Yeah, so I think that what I was trying to get at is if you have this strong sense of the why of what you're doing, the clients that you're working with, that you're having tangible outcomes that either are improving things that are important to you or improving the world, that as an employee at PwC, you're creating a portfolio of awesome things that you've done. So you helped this company become more sustainable, and you have that there. So you know that you did this, and it's more about collecting these things. It's important. So your career is becoming, you're kind of just bringing this gift to a lot of people, and I think that's very important. I think that's something that a lot of people would be happy to do. So I think that's how the attention comes into that. Is if you like what you do and you think it's important, I think millennials, like, we like to work for purpose. And if the purpose is there, we'll stay.
Yeah, I really resonate with what Dom said. I mean, you look at young people who have, I think it's an average of seven jobs before they turn 35. That's so different from the generation above us, and you wonder why. And I really resonate with what you said, Dom, of young people today are looking for purpose. They need to see that the working workforce that we live in now isn't one of repetition anymore. It's not because you do the same thing over and over, and the more you do it, the more successful you'll be, and then you'll get a promotion. Like, now companies want to tap into what young people are able to do. They're able to achieve more much faster than the generation before us, but they won't stay unless they feel connected to something. And I think about it in terms of, like, okay, our ISAC membership, and why do we lose members so much, and why do members switch functions even? Because maybe they're bored, maybe they don't feel challenged, and they don't feel connected to the purpose of what am I doing, what is my role. And when you don't understand your role and how you're improving things, you get so bored, you check out. So I think that's really important, understanding your role and also feeling challenged.
Yeah, so I think people leave organizations because they find another opportunity that makes sense. All right, because I cannot do 25 different things at the same time. Like, there's always an opportunity cost of doing something over the other, right? So the opportunity cost of you guys being here means you can celebrate New Year's with your family, right? So that's like what I think, like, employers or like people in the senior management of any organization. So for ISAC would be PLC, the EV, the team leaders for PLC would be the executive board needs to figure out, okay, so this person has stayed here for years. Now, what does this person really want to do? This person wanted to do this, that's why they joined PwC. Now, wherever they want to be, does PwC still fit or not? And if it doesn't fit, then yeah, they're not going to stay in the organization. And if it fits, if there's a way to make it fit, then create an opportunity for them to stay. And if you really want Jeff to be in PwC, then you're going to create an opportunity for Jeff to stay. So I think it's identifying what does this person want, and making sure that there is some kind of an opportunity, some kind of a learning environment, that it makes sense for this person to be in the organization.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything extra to add. This question is a hard one for me to come up with an answer to, because I really don't know what the situation is like. And I mean, when you talk about ISAC, like, why do people leave ISAC? Your organization that's so purpose-driven, why do people leave, right? There are definitely, like, many different reasons, so I have to really understand what the problems are. And I think any of these answers could have been the solution, or one of the solutions to solve the problem. I don't have any extra answers.
So, yeah, so I was looking, no, those were all great, because I think they are some aspect of game-changing the human resource department within professional service in general, because that is a big problem in the HR department across professional services. So thank you. But in terms of game-changing in general aspect, what do you really think what are some characteristics or things that needs to happen in order for this game changer to happen? Does that make sense? So you can think about how different companies used to start, etc. What are some things that they did right across that you think can really say it's like, okay, these game changers all have this common characteristics?
I think one of the biggest ways in which game changing happens is when there is a problem and someone finds a solution. You identify a problem, this is something I really want to solve. So for example, with Khan Academy, the problem was that, yeah, there are millions of people around the world, but not everyone has access to education. But there are people millions around the world who have access to internet. Now, is there a way in which I can put education on the internet through things like videos, which are easily accessible? People can use go to free YouTube, like links, etc. So can I do that? And I think that's what enabled that game changer. I think that's where innovation stems from. That's where successful startups come from. Is there a big enough problem to solve, and do they have the solutions?
Yeah, I think when you asked my question, I want to know, like, whether you consider it a game changer. Is it an organization, an industry, or is it an individual? And for me, like, I really agree with what, like, Kron is saying, because I think that's, like, one of the very core, but I think, to be honest, I only really believe in game-changing individuals, because it takes a person to really identify those problems, and then they come up with action steps, they create a team, they build teams, blah, blah, to create solutions afterwards.
Given who's one game changer that you recommend? Just wondering.
Okay, so I don't know much about Uber and Airbnb, and I don't really know the names of those people. But I just was thinking about it one day. I was taking Uber, and I actually had Airbnb. I was like, holy crap, this did not exist really a year and a half ago. These two things didn't exist. It's really transformed this industry. And I don't know if it's really hospitality or service. Which one is it? It's in between industry, and that's what we're doing. So blending the lines, right? And that's game changing. And I can look up this individual's names, but they probably, in the history books, I don't think their names will be there, and something to remember. I think that Uber or Airbnb is what you remember. And I see a lot of services like them coming to being around the world, despite all of the issues that Uber is causing legally.
I think, I agree with what Kim said. It takes a certain individual to step up and say, I want to be a game changer. And I think another thing that we can do to help provide that, I think about, and actually, we were talking about this earlier, and what does it take to have an entrepreneurial ecosystem? And I was reading an article about the Chamber of Commerce in Seattle, which is an area where there's a lot of entrepreneurship and it's thriving. And they were interviewing the president of the Chamber of Commerce, and they said, how did these companies emerge? Companies like Amazon and Starbucks that were these, small, people with an idea that became huge and really quick. And they said we were aggressively welcoming. We made an entrepreneurial ecosystem where people weren't afraid to fail. Because maybe on the 20th time they failed, they created Starbucks. And maybe if we gave people an environment where they felt comfortable and felt that it was okay to fail and have the strength to continue on, and we were almost, aggressively welcoming to embrace that failure, I think that's when we'll bring out the change maker in people.
And I think I would like to agree with a little bit of everything that everybody says, and something that resonates with me, and it kind of ties the thread between everybody's, is the concept of learning from the futures and emergence. And I think that's something that game changers do. They see future opportunities, and then they pursue those they want to pursue. And they don't wait for the future to come to them. They bring it to themselves. So I think with Khan Academy, they saw the way that the online game could change education, and they made that happen. They didn't wait for education to get there. I think with Uber, they saw the access for GPS, with linking your credit cards, and they brought that to us. And I think that's what game changers do. They have a lot of inputs and they have a lot of knowledge. And when the time is right, they pursue the best future scenario that they can see. And I think that's when the games change.
Interesting. And kind of going along with what you guys all said, and especially you, Karn, about, it's all about finding a specific problem and then thinking of a solution. So in terms of but at the same time, game changers usually find a niche within a specific problem, right? Because if we think about our lives right now, we live in a pretty good life, compared to what my parents go through. But at the same time, most of game changers, they find a specific niche, and then they tackle it, and then they realize that the problem solved is actually a lot bigger than it is. So I think my question to you all is, what is one niche problem that you see in young people's development that has a potential to be game changed?
So I think I just want to jump in a little bit on the question itself before answering it, and touching a little bit about kind of what you said sparked an idea in my head. I think that it's it's not always about finding a problem and finding a solution, but finding your strength and thinking about what you're good at and how that aligns with future opportunities, and then creating something that's like truly special and that addresses problems, and they may be bigger than you ever thought. But with the youth in particular, I think a lot of just practical experience, that whole interpersonal connection that I was talking before, I think is still relevant to this question. And I think that our education system doesn't give us that. And I think that's why a lot of people gravitate to ISIC. They give you a practical chance to manage a team, to speak in front of people, to do all different kinds of things that you learn about in books, but you'll never get. And to give you experience that some managers don't even have. And I think that something along the lines of what we're doing with this practical experience is that could change the game for education. Because I think a lot of us are better students and key contributors, especially in group projects and going forward in companies. I think a lot of ISECers can get hired in at higher levels.
So I kind of touched on this earlier, but it's about the fear of doing things different, the fear of breaking the rules and thinking that you have to live in the path that others have painted for you. I really think like if young people, I think, you know, a big part of young people have been able to embrace that, but there's a whole group of people, and we all know these people back in our campuses, that will just go on to do a job that they hate, 9 to 5 at the end of the day, and then they'll call you up and say, I'm miserable, what do I do? And you just say, get out of there, and they won't. And I think that's what's so, it's hard to see, because, you know, your life is what you make of it. And until we tell young people, I think that's why people love ISIC so much, I mean, it's a playground. Until young people start realizing that they can create their own rules, and we look at the historical game changes we've seen, that's exactly what happened. They made their own rules. They said, I don't want life to happen to me, I want to make life happen.
Yeah, so I'm not going to be telling you anything new. Because as soon as you said that, for me, like my passion is education, and that's what it came about. And I was thinking a lot about my experience there, and I think the one thing that differentiates a lot of individuals over others is experiential development. And I think that's what honestly sells in an interview. I think that's what sells in terms of when you're meeting people is not just the degree you have and the grades you have. It's okay, what do you do with it, right? Like what did you actually learn from that experience? What really happened there? And I think the reason why it's actually right now is because I want to bring back this whole concept of how we are so focused on just tablets and like, you know, virtual life that we're not, I think, giving enough importance and emphasis on actual experiential actually going through and having real life work experiences, because we feel, yeah, everything's online, we're just going to read through it, we're going to apply, we're going to do well in school, and that's fine. And I think that's where people like us actually stand out. And that's where ISECers change the game when they go on interviews. That's where ISECers change the game when they want to go and start.
You asked a question, I started thinking, like, what are the things, like, what are the potential issues or potential, like, areas where we can find solutions to? Like, education is one, poverty is one, equality is one. Like, all these things, like, what hasn't been created? And I'm like, dang, I don't think I'm going to come up with anything right now. But something I'm thinking about is, how accessible is it and how easy is it actually for people our age to actually make ideas that we have happen? Yeah, like we can talk about it on forums. Yes, there is like crowdfunding, right? So it's called crowdfunding. Like, how accessible is it for people like us without maybe not even a degree yet, without influence, without connections, to really make ideas that we have happen? And how accessible for us to really understand how we get there to the level where we know how to make things happen. And that's probably the niche market that I think that I would be looking at.
So you guys actually talk a lot about experiential learning and experience and things like that. And obviously, ISEC is not the only organization that does that. There's also co-ed and then study abroad, internship, summer internship. Those are all experiential learning. If we put that in the industry, what do you think, and this will be our last question, is what do you think is one key thing that we can tackle in the industry in terms of solving a specific problem? What really, how do you make a differentiator, become a differentiator within that industry? Okay. So a differentiator is what separates you from your competitors, right? So I'm not talking about Isaac. I'm talking about in general. I'm saying that within the experiential learning industry, if that's how we created that market, ISAC, co-ed, internship, study abroad, maybe even working, whatever, those are all experiential learning. So how can you differentiate, just in general, and please don't use ISAC as an example, how can you differentiate across your competitors based on the current statement?
So I think one major differentiator, which has been emerging, I think, is service. But I think that that's like something we were talking about, is interpersonal experiences and the idea of getting a service. So for example, you can look at Isaac and you can say that our services are exchange or internships or TMP, but that's different than the service we provide each other, or the service we give to each other, like how I treat Timon, or how I'll treat Destin. And if I make him feel welcome and comfortable, then that's going to differentiate, because people like to work with people and they like to buy things from people to make them happy. And so I think that industries that have good service, they stand out. And I think that this is something, and service comes from within. So it's not something you just give to your customers, but you bring to the organization. So look at Google. They have the most kick-ass office where they give them food, they let them play, they let them have fun. Their office is a playground, like actually. And we like love Google, and we love what they do. And I think that's key, is having service. And if you have service, you're going to stand out above your competitors. Because at the end of the day, there's this increasing level of sameness that's occurring. Because the access to resources, the access to develop things are equal. But at the end of the day, how do you treat people? And how do you make them feel? And I think if you make them feel good, you're going to differentiate yourself.
So I think that the differentiator is the equality aspect of accessibility of these experiential learning, the experiential learning industry. Because in my perspective, I think right now the people who get to experience experiential learning are people in middle to upper class communities and families. We are the ones who can't go and study abroad, are the ones who can't do our stuff. Not all the time, but the majority of people are the ones. And I think it's just like by nature, right? Like experiential learning, you have to be involved to get there. Like it has to be a physical thing. But how can we turn experiential learning into something that's more virtual or something that's more accessible? Doesn't require that monetary support. Yeah, I don't have the answer, but that's where my thought is right now.
Yeah, so the two things the two ways in which I think you can be a differentiator. One is by being customer oriented. So, and also in the very beginning, actually start your organization based on customer insights. Because you already have competitors, right? So learn on their cost. Because there are already people who are like going through other experiences. So get those customer inputs and see what are they actually lacking. What are other organizations that are providing you experiential learning lacking, and try to see the good things amongst multiple of them and try to combine them if you can, right? If that's possible. And the second thing I think is the scale of operation. Because with experiential learning, I think most individuals in the world want different kinds of experiential learning. So how can you have a network, or how can you have a scale of opportunities that are so diverse that multiple people from different kinds, different societies, different economic backgrounds can access you? Because then you become Google. Because it doesn't matter what your background is, where you are. That's one thing that will provide me experience.
I would say I really agree with you guys. I think customer service for sure and accessibility. I think I want to add one more thing is simplicity. I think if you're an organization where it's so hard to, I can't even get what you do in 5 seconds, I'm going to move on to the next one. And in an economic environment where there's so many people doing the same things, you can Google and find many solutions to the problem you have. Simplicity and how easy is it for me to get what you do and purchase your services and engage with you. That's what's going to make it easier for me to and want to.
Thank you. No, those were all really awesome answers. Because of time, we have to stop. What? Oh yeah, these are MCP candidates. Sorry. But yes, thank you all for talk with me about game changing in terms of, we talked a lot today about actually a lot of different areas. We went from problems in young people right now, the trends, even experiential learning and things like that. So really, thank you guys for coming. And that's it. Can we give a huge round of applause for us?
All right, then I wanted to give a special hand to Jeff for managing this process. Let's hear it for Jeff. All right, so I want to get you guys out of here pretty quickly. But just wanted to recap what we did so far. We did our opening speeches. We just did Smart Talks for the first time. That was pretty cool, yeah? All right, so we just have one more message from Jeff that will be coming up here in a second.